right. We are on air.
I don't feel any different.
You don't?
No. Oh, I should record. Should I record my audio?
That is usually advisable for a podcast.
Oops. What?
I didn't say
Oh,
anything.
no. Sorry, I had the stream on another monitor. Freaked me out for a second.
30 seconds later, you hear me say something.
Right. All right. So, episode 5.
/6.
Nope. It's episode 5 because we started with episode 0.
Right. This is episode 5.
That's right.
This is our 6th time recording.
This is our 6th time recording.
Yeah. Only programmers will understand what we're talking about.
It's okay, though.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But so how was your week?
Thinking back, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Got a lot of work done. It was mostly work. I slept some. There was some eating. So pretty average. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Normal functions of life.
Yeah. How about you? How was your week?
It started out with a work emergency with our SSL certificates being expired, and lots of people being upset about that. So that was fun, and had to update a lot of servers manually and figure out, because we changed the way we handle our SSL certificates, and so it wasn't business as usual. But so that was my first couple days of the week, and since then just been normal coding, that kind of stuff.
That's fun. Sounds a lot like my week.
Yeah,
except for the work emergency.
Yeah, that made it interesting.
It's interesting stuff when things break because somebody forgot to renew something or whatever.
Yeah. Well, they did renew it. They just didn't update the servers with
Right.
the new certificate.
Oh,
when you buy something, if you don't use it, it does you no good, apparently.
So an update, not a renewal.
Correct. It was a renewal, but a different way of updating the certificate. Man, this is so boring. This sounds boring.
I'm bored. I think I might leave. I'm so bored.
Yeah. So,
hey, listen, transportation, episode 3 of our podcast on transportation.
Yes. So we started with episode 3 and then continued in episode 4. Mm-hmm. And now we are going to continue with episode 5 because we just can't get enough of it. And we have a lot more to say, apparently.
Right.
So in episode 3, we were joined by Jordan Austin, who is hilarious. And he talked a lot well, not a lot, but he talked about this is a little bit of follow-up here, that when you're running, that it is smoother than when you are walking. Do you remember this?
When you're running, it's smoother than when you're... Yes, I do remember that.
This was during the horse riding conversation.
Right.
But so Val and I did some independent analysis and to test this hypothesis. And we will be releasing a video at some point showing the results and debunking this urban myth.
Debunking the urban myth of running being smoother than walking.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Can't wait to see the look on his face.
Yeah. And so then last episode, we were talking about like transporters and Lightspeed and all that fictitious stuff. So those of you who haven't heard that one, be sure to catch up on that. And so today, I think what I wanted to talk about was something we touched on in the first transportation episode, but didn't really get to dive into it too much. And that is owning vehicles, whether that be a car, motorcycle, bus, whatever.
Right. Hey, sorry, real quick.
Sure.
I don't know that anyone else can hear me right now on the stream or see me.
Yeah. See, when I switch to you, it shows that you are blank, but I can see you in the preview.
Is there like a button you can press where you're like, make me real?
Well, I just made you present to everyone.
So, okay, so it's one or the other. Interesting. Oh, now you're gone.
Well, you're actually not showing in the live stream.
Huh.
You might need to drop and come back.
Okay, I'm going to do that. Goodbye.
All right. So hang tight while we wait for Paul to rejoin us. There you are. Now,
hey, I'm here.
Now you're actually moving.
Oh, I'm moving. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you were just a still image before.
My loving wife pointed out that she could hear me but couldn't see me.
Oh, she could hear you though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think whenever you went and adjusted your settings, I think that's when it changed. Like your cables,
the settings.
Your feline cables.
The settings.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So glad to see your lovely face again.
I'm so embarrassed I forgot to put on my makeup.
I would be embarrassed if I remembered to put on my makeup.
Fair enough.
So I was mentioning what we're going to talk about, and that would be talking about vehicle ownership, and maybe talking about our experiences with getting our first car and buying and selling cars, maintaining cars, all the things that go into the craziness that we have to do to get around. So
yeah, I think that is it correct that you're like a mechanical kind of guy, that you can get your arms and hands dirty inside of an engine of a car and have good results from that? Your way around?
I would say yes to that. I mean, at the risk of sounding hubris, but I enjoy it. So, I would say I have got good results. I wouldn't say I always get good results. In fact, like just last night, I was helping my brother-in-law rotate his tires. Simple job, but not uncommon for me on a weekly basis to do something mechanically related.
Simple for some, perhaps, impossibly complex for others.
Perhaps. Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Like, I can picture myself pulling off all of the tires and then forgetting, and like taking them away and like putting them in a row so they look nice and neat, and then forgetting which one went where. That would happen to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter for one thing. Well,
if you're rotating the tires, it totally matters. What if you put them on back in the same way?
I suppose if you were trying to achieve a rotation, then yes, that is correct. It does matter.
Okay.
And there are certain cars that you are not supposed to do that with due to tread patterns and wheel sizes and tread widths and whatnot. So like, like sports cars, might have different tires on the front than the back. So you don't want to swap those ones.
You just blew my mind.
Yeah. Sorry.
But I was right. I was right. It is complex.
It
or can be.
Can be. Can be. Yeah. And so I don't have a floor jack right now, which makes it a little bit annoying to jack up the car. So we did a little bit of a hack yesterday. We used his scissor jack, where you have the bar that you crank to slowly to get it to jack up the car. And I was like, this is lame. So I went and got a cordless drill and got the part of the bar to like fit into the drill, and so we jacked up his car with power. It was amazing. It was possibly better than using a floor jack, which is
yeah, I can
weird,
imagine.
But
So was it like an impact drill or just
no?
Like
it was just a regular, like what you would screw into the wall, kind of just regular handheld cordless drill.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, but we just put the bar right into the chuck, and it made it so much faster.
Yeah,
it felt like we were on a pit crew or something.
My latest car adventure. So we just bought a new used car. And
is it another Subaru?
Yeah, it's like I want to say 2011 or 14. I can't remember which. Forester from a friend. Engine was just rebuilt by Subaru because there was an oil consumption issue, and so there was a recall, and so they basically replaced almost all the parts in the engine.
Oil consumption issue. What does that mean exactly?
I just do what I'm told, Geoff. Come on.
Okay.
I mean, it's like burning a lot of oil.
Okay, so it was coming out the tailpipe,
I guess.
Okay. Did they replace any exhaust parts?
No. Well, maybe. We need a new catalytic converter.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah. So, so right now the light comes on for the catalytic converter, which disables the cruise control when the light is on. Yeah.
What's the reasoning there?
I don't know. But so I discovered that you couldn't use the cruise control on our way down to North Carolina from the state of New York, where we are.
Yeah.
So what I did was I pulled into a gas station and wanted to reset the codes. So I was like, I'll just pull the battery terminal and pull the contacts off the terminal.
That sometimes works. Yeah.
Push the brake light, get all the charge out of the circuits of the vehicle. Reset the codes beautifully. But I didn't realize that on newer model Subarus, you have to train the idle of the car. Otherwise, it'll just shut off. when you take if you bring the car to a stop and you take your foot off the gas, it'll just shut right off unless it's trained.
Trained. What does that mean exactly?
Well, after a nightmare road trip down I-95, where there's horrendous stop and go traffic most of the time in major cities, where like the engine would be shutting off, and I'd be like shifting into neutral really quick and revving the engine to keep it alive. I took it to an import shop in Raleigh when we got to where my parents live in North Carolina, and they were like, "Oh, you have to train the idle if you ever disconnect the battery."
So what is the process of this training?
Basically, you just drive it around the block. You turn it off. You turn it on again. But the whole course of the road trip, I only turned the engine off once to fill up with gas once. So I never actually got the idle working. On the way to the shop to get it looked at, I I realized that it was no longer shutting off when it came to like a stoplight. So
Oh,
yeah. But I was sure it was going to happen again. So I just had them look at it. They charged me a diagnostic fee, and that was it.
to tell you that it
Mm-hmm.
needs to be trained.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, they also fixed the taillight that was out, but
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So, are you one of those? Are you one of the ones that doesn't work on your own cars? Like,
Yeah.
okay,
For me, I would lose money if I did anything at all on my own car.
so it's a lack of confidence.
No, it's a lack of knowledge, confidence, and the time to go like Google it, watch a YouTube, do it.
Right.
I just, I live in a little well, if you've listened to previous episodes, you'd know that I live in the village of Florida, New York. And our apartment is in a building next to a municipal parking lot. I have nowhere really to work on the car unless I want to be basically
Right.
out in public,
Yep.
exposed to the elements. So it seems like it's at this point it's more cost effective to take it to a shop, have them change the oil. Found a place on the Car Talk forums that are aging pretty well now, but reputable, trustworthy. Have them do it. They have pretty good Wi-Fi in their lobby, so I just sit there and do my thing while they do theirs.
Okay. Huh.
What about you?
So,
Tell me.
well, I've always had just kind of a desire to do it. I mean, I don't know if I have any special ability to do any of that. I think it's just been just like anything else in life. I make it work because I wanted to do it.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know why I enjoy it, but I like working on things mechanically. I mean, not just cars. I like
Well, looks like we just lost Geoff. So I'm sure he'll be back in a minute.
I am back, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there. It just dropped and said I lost network connection.
I don't know. You still had internet though, right?
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
What was the last thing you heard?
Uh
Just
That was so
I was just
earth shattering. I've forgotten
right.
everything that happened before
Yeah.
this.
I was just talking about that I have motivation to
Yes, that's
do
right.
that.
You like it.
Like it. And in high school, I took as much auto mechanics as I possibly could, and still graduate. I think I think it was like a total of 3 of the years.
Wow. So you so not only do you have the interest, but also you have some training.
Yeah, some training. one of the things that was kind of cool about when I took auto mechanics in school, and I don't know if they still do this or if this is just kind of like something they did in our school, was they would offer um, services to people in the community, like brake jobs or small uh, things for free, basically, and let the students do the work.
Yeah.
Um, so I ended up being in the third year of doing it, doing a lot of those jobs. So I was doing brake jobs like a couple times a week. Um, so I got a lot of training doing that. Got pretty comfortable doing that. And that was pretty cool to be able to work on a lot of different cars and see how they're all, pretty similar and in the ways that they're different.
Hmm. So talk about some of those differences.
Just, in the way that manufacturers design certain parts of cars and stuff, they have a lot of similarities in that they function on the same principles, but they might use um, very different looking parts. But so you learn to identify, oh, this is the caliper, this is the whatever.
This is the caliper. This is the steeple. Open the doors, and there's all the people.
But I don't think they taught us that one.
Oh no.
No,
Yeah, sorry.
I kind of wish that they would have.
My auto mechanics class wasn't very useful to me.
Oh, you took it though.
No. No.
Oh, okay.
What gave it away?
The other thing that helped me though in life was the fact that my dad, for I don't know how many years, but mainly before I was born, was employed as a motorcycle mechanic, and also has the same. That's where I got a lot of my desire. There was always projects that he and I were doing, um, in the garage growing up, and so that was just something that was part of growing up.
Yeah, I think on the same note, my dad felt the same way I do. So actually, I guess really I feel the same way my dad did, that he would lose more money than save if he worked on his own car.
Ah,
So this is a nurture versus nature thing. Sounds like.
yeah, I'd be curious to find out like how much of that stuff is passed down, generationally, and like where did that start with, like, in my family, did that start with my dad, and why would that? I don't think it did.
I'm going to venture a guess that in your family history, it doesn't go further back than like maybe 1890, working on cars.
The Industrial Revolution.
Oh, good point.
I don't know. They might have been working on some wagons.
Yeah, maybe your family. Maybe you come from a long line of wagon builders.
Yeah.
Do they have some kind of like term for a wagon builder? You know how like a person who makes barrels is a cooper.
Probably.
Who's like, it's probably something boring like wagon maker. Boring. I want a name for a profession where it's not in any way related to the thing that you make.
Would that be like the original Coachworks? Like
Coachworks?
Yeah,
coach worker?
Yeah.
Coachworks. Oh, yeah, maybe a coach. Yeah.
Because there is a word. I just don't. I mean, I think that applies to cars these days, right?
A coach?
There
is a
Coachworks.
Coachworks. Oh,
yeah.
Never heard of it.
The Coachwork is the body, real-time follow-up here, the body of a motor vehicle as opposed to the chassis.
Oh, interesting. I feel like
Uh,
whenever we have a real-time update like that, we should have like a bell that we ring. Ding.
Googled.
Oh, that's okay. The coach works. So the thing that's like connects the things to the things. It's like in the middle.
Yeah.
It's like the cheese and ham of the sandwich. At the bottom of the sandwich are the wheels, and the top is where you sit.
Nice analogy. You're making me hungry.
If you were to sit on top of a sandwich and the sandwich were to take you places. No?
Uh, I don't think I've ever imagined that before, but now I have.
Like a flying sandwich. The
Huh.
coach works would be whatever's in the middle.
Got it. Okay. So we've talked about mechanicking, if that's a word.
Yeah.
What was your first car?
My first car.
And when did you get it? Is there a story?
My first car. So really my first vehicle I shared with my mom. It was a 1991 Nissan Sentra, white. And when I turned 16 and I got my driver's license, I think I was actually 17 when I got my driver's license. But there were two white Nissan Sentras in the little town in Connecticut where we lived.
You knew how many Nissan Sentras?
Well, that I knew of.
Okay.
That I knew of. Same year, same color. And I discovered it when I was driving with my friend. We drove by this gas station, and there was somebody who worked at the gas station who had the same model and make. And I remember noticing it one time. And then we stopped at that gas station to get gas one day, and I had recently lost my front driver's side hubcap. And I look over at this Nissan Sentra, and it had also lost the same hubcap.
What?
So I have a picture of myself sitting next to my car, looking off into the distance. And then the car next to me is the same make and model and they're both missing the same hubcap. I don't know.
I want to see this picture.
I'll have to dig it up. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah. So you shared this with your mom. How was that experience?
It was fine. Generally, I didn't really take the car anywhere by myself very often.
Yeah.
I would go to work at my job at the mall, maybe like 2 nights a week. Other than that, I got rides to school. I didn't actually get my own car until after I got into my first accident. So it was kind of a boring accident, and actually the only accident I've ever been in. I was going over a bridge, and it was the middle of winter, and it had just dipped below freezing, and so it just iced over, and I just slid right over the bridge.
Oh,
going like 15 miles an hour.
Oh,
totaled the car.
Seriously?
Yeah.
It
was a 91 Nissan Sentra.
Yeah. Was that the boxy style?
It's a little boxy. Yeah.
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 Probably a good little car.
Mm-hmm.
Till you wrecked it.
I know, I ruined it. Okay, so what was your first vehicle?
The first car I had was I actually purchased before I had my license. Somehow I convinced my parents to let me buy a car without having a license. That was not a good idea. I think I was 16 or 17. And as I had mentioned, I was doing auto mechanics, and somebody had donated a couple cars to the school to work on that they just didn't want anymore. But nobody worked on them. Like, nobody wanted them. Like, one was a Saab. I want to say 9,000.
Yeah.
Uh, and the other was this car, which was a 1970 Lincoln Continental, uh,
Wow.
two door. Um, it was not, and no, it was not the one with suicide doors. That ended prior to that year, and also this was a two door. So, but it was longer than the four door.
Hmm.
I think we measured it out at like 18 and a half feet, something like that. It was pickle green.
Excellent.
Yep. And the car was still owned by this person that donated to the school. So I had to track him down and offer to purchase it. And
Hmm.
and he was like, "Oh, that thing? Yeah, okay." And he had the title, and so he only charged me $300 for
Wow.
this car. This car would cost me a lot more than $300.
That guy, that guy made out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, he should have paid me to take that car. So this car had been sitting behind the school for who knows how long. I don't know, probably about a year. And it was never locked. So people from the school, kids from the school, that usually ones that knew about this car and had been in auto mechanics class, would skip class in this car. So so the interior of this car was pretty not great, let's just say.
Pretty bare bones.
Uh,
Stages of decay.
well, the actual condition of the leather was great. It turned out to be. However, the carpet needed some help and was covered with sunflower seed shells because kids would just sit in there and spit sunflower seed shells all over the car.
So this was now your car.
This is now my car. None of the windows worked, and everything was power in this thing. The headlight covers were vacuum operated. So
What?
most cars back then that were like fancy, quote unquote fancy, used a lot of vacuum to operate things. Which is crazy. I mean, it might as well have been powered by a steam engine or something. But so vacuum would open and close these headlight covers. And it being, 25, 30-year-old car at the time, 20, yeah, about 25. And the pneumatics, I guess is what you would call it, leaked a lot. So you would know how long the car had been sitting, like how long it had been since it had been driven, because when you started it up, the vacuum would work and the headlights would close. And then over the next couple days, like one would start like lifting up and then the other. So if it was winking at you, it was like,
Hey.
it was probably, I hadn't driven the car for a day or two. And if it was like, bright eyed, then that might have been a week or longer. So,
So what is the purpose of headlight covers?
I don't know. That was kind of a thing.
Is it because were like the lenses made of glass at that time or something?
Yes, they were.
Okay,
They were just the round headlights.
Yeah.
And it had 4 round headlights behind those things. And I don't know. Maybe they were just trying to make it look more sleek, and I don't know. It's hard to know.
Google it.
But yeah, so there was a bunch of hardware in this car that was all dedicated to this pneumatic system. I think the door locks were also pneumatic. Just
Weird.
craziness.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. And you would, I think like part of the, what do you call it? The ventilation system, the venting and all that. I don't know what the word is for it right now, but you would change a setting like, defrost to, put it on your feet or something. And it would like, you'd hear, like it was doing some crazy mechanical
Okay.
pneumatic switching in there.
So basically just like a system of tubes at the termination of which is a semi-powerful motor attached to a fan. Is that how that works?
I don't know. I think so. All engines produce vacuum at some point in their, I believe, in the manifold area. Um, and I think that's basically what was being tapped into. And then
Hmm.
uh, there's some sort of canister that I think was storing the vacuum so that it would stay.
Wow. So it would
Um,
persist a vacuum somewhere in the vehicle.
right, exactly. And I think it would basically top it off with the engine.
Is it somewhere down near the ham and cheese? Like,
Yes, deep
okay.
into the cheese.
Got it.
That might be our episode title. Oh
Okay.
man. Uh, so this is becoming a very long story, but uh, this car had a lot of problems, and it was also a gas guzzler. It had a 460 cubic inch engine in it that,
Yeah.
as massive as this car was, it filled the under the hood. Like it was just this massive engine. Um, so there's some stories about me driving this car, but I won't bore you with all those details because it doesn't have a lot to do with transportation as a whole. But
The teenage when we get to being a teenager.
yeah, we might have some crossover there.
Yeah.
So there was some transmission problems with this thing, and I ended up like pulling the transmission, working on it myself. Wasn't able to fix it, so had to have a mechanic do it. And this kind of turned into an interesting story because um, the mechanic forgot when he put the car back together. I think I had him do some work on the rear axle or the rear bearings or something. But when he put it back together, he forgot to bolt um, the rear axle basically to the housing.
Oh, he forgot the mustard.
Yes, the mustard. Um, so I don't know if you've ever seen one of these Lincoln Continentals, but
I
uh,
can imagine it.
they have in the rear wheel well, they have this cover that goes over, like the fender kind of goes over the top of the rear wheel. So you can't see the top of the tire. It's like I don't know, like a hood that goes over the tire. I that hood thing like saved me because this mechanic forgot to bolt the axle in. So going around a corner, the axle is trying to come out, and where I'm hearing this weird rubbing sound. And the tire is like on the inside of the fender trying to basically come out of the car. Um, but yeah, that was an interesting experience. Mechanics make mistakes. They
They
do.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
I've
that's
made
terrifying.
mistakes as well, but yeah,
This is I have to be glad that I don't work on my own car, because of the fact that mechanics make mistakes.
yeah,
Me not being a mechanic would probably make at least as many, if not way more, mistakes working on my own car. than
So
a
I've
regular
so
mechanic
what you're
would.
saying, I've done nothing to boost your confidence to
No,
try to be a
absolutely,
mechanic.
absolutely nothing. In fact, now I'm even more scared.
Fabulous.
I do
Uh,
want a sandwich, though.
with
Oh,
wheels,
yeah. How about pastrami on rye with wheels, please?
olive wheels.
Olive wheels. Oh
Uh,
boy.
uh, so Jonathan Foster says, I thought that was the low fat mayo part of the sandwich. Flash car.
Good point.
Can you see any of the chat?
I can't. How do I do that?
I don't know. Oh, I think you have to actually view it on YouTube.
Oh, oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, look at all these people. Oh, I can
Or,
pop out the chat. That's good.
oh, that's probably better.
Yeah. All right. There we go. Woo.
So, I feel like we should move on from my first car story.
Okay. Okay.
Just
So, first car. Oh, that was the first car you bought with your own money. Wow.
yeah, $300.
Um. Huh. First car I bought with my own money is actually happens to be the car that I have now. You
Say
want to go?
what?
Yeah. Yeah. It's absolutely true. So that car I shared with my mom. My dad bought it. My second car I bought with money that my grandma gave me. Not grand. No, my aunt. My aunt gave me. Third car, my grandpa gave me his when he couldn't drive anymore. Fourth car, my grandma gave me hers when she couldn't drive anymore. And here we are today. I've
So,
owned I've driven as my main vehicle a total of 5 vehicles my entire life.
so I would not categorize you as a car enthusiast.
Did something give it away?
You're basically like, I will own a car if I have to,
Yeah.
but I'm not
Yeah.
really going to put any effort into this.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So that is well, you and I are very opposite in that category.
I'd say that's fair.
Um, because I have owned several cars. In fact, I don't even know how many right now.
Wow. No, and that doesn't include like model cars, right?
Yeah. Well, that would, yeah. We don't have time for that.
If we're including Matchbox cars, I mean, so many. Just
So
like,
many. And
oh,
Lego
come on.
cars and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we just bought and sold a car within this calendar year. Like that's not uncommon for us.
Wow.
Um, like owning 2 cars right now is kind of seasonal for us. So, during the summer, we didn't really need the second car, so we sold it. But yeah, I mean, it's not unusual for us to these days, um, buy a car every couple years, really.
Mhm.
What's the longest you ever owned a car?
Longest I've ever owned a car. Oh, I want to say it was my grandfather's Ford Escort. Oh, wait, I forgot one. For a while, my wife's car was my dad's old Hyundai Sonata that he gave us. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
You've been gifted a lot of cars.
I have. I've really been fortunate.
That's amazing. I think so. I think I owned a car. How long was that? You didn't say how long.
With what? The Ford, 5 years. I
5 years.
guess 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm planning on, we were gonna keep my grandma's 99 Subaru Legacy as long as it was gonna run. Because when we inherited it from her, it was, it only had 60,000 miles on it, and it was already like 12, no wait, 2015. I was already like 12 or 13 years old.
Oh,
um
okay.
so I felt like it should have some life left in it yet. um but at one point I had to get the all of the rubber parts replaced on it. And
All the
then,
rubber parts.
yeah, well, like the ones in the ones like on like that are just on top of the bottom piece of bread
Oh, okay, got it.
down there. And so I got all those replaced. It was like the oil pan gasket. And then I hit a deer. And then I ran over the same deer and totally undid all of that, which contributed, no doubt, to the totaling of the 18-year-old vehicle,
Uh,
which I did get a pretty good price for, though, from the insurance company, because it had such low mileage on it.
oh, okay.
So with that, and then a little extra, we were able to buy our current Subaru outright
I see.
for a decent price.
Thinking back, actually, there is a car that I was gifted once in my life. I did receive as a gift from my grandfather um, a restored 1980 MGB, bright orange. It was
A 1980?
1980. I think that might have been the last year that they made them, or at
Nin-
least imported them.
1980 what?
MGB.
MGB Roadster?
Yes.
Hey, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it's basically what the Miata was trying to cash in on.
It does look a lot like a Miata. Yeah.
A lot of those British roadsters, the Triumphs and the MGs, were basically the inspiration for the Miata, which I ended up owning one of those too later. But no, that was a wonderful car. Slow as snot, but it was a really
Snot is not always very slow.
this snot was
Okay.
very slow.
Like if you're outside in a cold day, then it could be a little slow.
Depending on how cold, because I've had
like below freezing.
Yeah. Okay. Let's not get into the mechanics of snot speed.
I'm going to draw you a chart.
That also could be a good episode title: Mechanics of Snot Speed.
Yeah. We could have like a whole like experiment and everything set up in a lab. You'll wear a lab coat. But we'll get like one lab coat, like an extra large, and we'll wear the same lab coat.
Yeah, kind of like the slow-mo guys, how they always wear lab coats, but they're not really doing anything scientific, really.
Fair enough.
I like them. Just I think the lab coats are funny. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, gifted cars, right?
Right. So you were gifted this car.
Yes, I was gifted this car. Unfortunately, someone pulled out in front of my wife when she was driving it, and that totaled that car. Jonathan Foster says the now defunct Saturn SE1 is the frozen snot of the car world. And I like how he capitalized frozen snot. It is a proper name. That was the alternate name.
It's the
Saturn
project
SE1 parentheses frozen snot.
It was the code name when it was in development.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you were gifted that car. It was totaled.
It was totaled. I was very sad. Incidentally, also was given a pretty fair price from the insurance company on that one because um, my grandfather also sent along all the repair records
Wow.
with prices of all the parts that were put into it. And so I just handed him a stack of papers and they basically made good on it. So
How
that was
how
nice.
does that affect how much you get for it because of how much money's been put into it?
Yeah, basically, if you can prove that you've put that much money into it, and I think it was basically because it was considered a classic car, and I don't think this would like if you did that to a Honda Civic, I don't think they would do that.
Wow. So
Well,
kids,
unless the Honda Civic was 1980, but
the moral of the story is keep track of everything. Use the maintenance record that you find in the glove compartment that I usually think will like somehow be worth something if I keep it in the original envelope and never touch it. It's like crisp, like it's like it's brand new. This little maintenance log.
does anybody ever use that?
Mint condition, my friends.
Does that actually get used? Like I've
Well,
never
it
seen
could
that
be.
used in any car ever.
Apparently, if I kept every receipt in that log, it would increase the value of my car if I wreck it.
Yeah. Also important record keeping is when dealing with warranty issues, as I found out. So that's a
Oh,
interesting segue.
so that you can prove that you did things to the car that you should have done.
Yes. So I like to change my own oil, for example. Um, and a lot of people don't keep records of the fact that they do that, right? And I was not very good at that. Um, Still not really. But I bought after this car got totaled, we bought a brand new Golf um, turbo. It was for one of the first models. No, I think Audi had it before, but one of the first Volkswagen models to have the 1.8T. So there was a lot of problems in the early years of those engines, specifically having to do with oil circulation. Coming back from the coast one day, oil light comes on, but it has oil. Like it's fine. I know it's fine. Um, but it's not getting oil pressure. So I had the car towed. The dealer then tells me, yes, you have a powertrain warranty. Back then it was actually 10 years.
Wow.
And you know, you need a new engine. Uh, so, you know, if you can provide us proof that you have been changing the oil, we will do that under warranty. You know, Volkswagen doesn't want to just shell out $4,000 or whatever it was.
No, they'll make it hard. Yeah.
We're going to make it hard. You know, if I had it done at the dealership, it would have been fine because they keep those records in their system. But I had been changing the oil myself. So the guy worked with me a little bit, but I ended up having to pay, I think, $1,000 of the repair costs because I did not have a complete set of records.
Couldn't you just like somehow take the oil that was in your engine and like have it um processed at a lab to prove that it was new oil?
Well, that might be feasible if the problem was not an overtime kind of problem.
Oh.
It wasn't just like this last oil change ruined the engine kind of thing. It was a over time the sludge
Oh.
from older oil started clogging certain areas, and it wasn't able to build the pressure that it needed to get to the top of the engine. So basically the top of the engine got kind of messed up. So
Plus, I guess the lab fees might have cost, about $1,000
yeah,
anyway.
probably. Yeah. So kids, keep your records.
Keep your records. Mileage logs are good too if you're self-employed. Or if you do any type of
Yeah.
volunteer work, you
Oh,
can
yeah,
write
that's
off
true.
all of your miles for volunteering.
Yeah, that is something that my wife is much better at than I am, among many other things. But
We'll wait for the list in the show notes.
yeah. So uh, you've never. I guess that means you've never had to like buy a car or like go through the buying process,
Not the classic buying process.
like sitting in a dealership.
Never done
Uh,
it.
Never done it.
Never done it. Well, when we bought my my air quotes second car, um, which I also shared with my mom. My dad took me with him to a used car dealer that he knew, and it was just like this sort of like little house with a bunch of cars out front kind of thing.
Okay. All
But
right.
I've never been into like the big plate glass window, giant blinking sign, sort of, you know, football fields of cars
Right.
parked all around the place kind of thing. The little run around with the, the salesman is like, well, I gotta check with my manager, then never done that kind of thing.
It's funny you haven't experienced that, but you know how it works.
I watch a lot of the TV.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, what's interesting is I don't know if this is interesting. I shouldn't say. Um, I find it interesting though that I don't really like the car buying process. I like buying cars. I don't like the process. On the other hand, my wife um, does, and she's really good at it. Um, she's helped other people buy cars. She's very good at handling salesmen and their tactics.
Hmm.
So, plug for her. Um, but yeah, you're not missing much there with the process of buying cars, in my opinion. Um,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
it's kind of it's a pain in the butt as far as I'm concerned.
It's a big
And
runaround.
yeah, and they're, you know, most of the salesmen that I've encountered are undertrained and uh, overzealous. You know,
Undertrained and overzealous.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and if they get a hold of your phone number, watch out. You know.
Really? Do they call you, like, they'll call you and like say, "Hey, you came in,
Yep.
um, uh, you came in last week to look at this Buick LeSabre.
Mm-hmm.
Why were you at a Buick dealer, Geoff? Do you have any class? Do you have any style? What were you doing there? Explain yourself."
Have never been on the lot of a Buick dealership.
Okay, fair enough. I'm sorry, I got confused uh in my own like little scenario there.
Yeah, in fact, I don't think I've ever been on the lot of any uh, General Motors uh, at all, like GMC, Chevy, Buick, Pontiac, all those
No.
things.
American cars.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't have a huge thing against American cars anymore. I would say 10, 15 years ago, yeah. Um, we've actually owned a couple Fords now, and they've been decent, been pretty good.
Yeah, I've been happy with the Ford that we had.
You had the Escort.
The Escort, my friend.
What year of Escort did you have?
2002, I think.
Okay, so one of the later ones
Yeah.
before they got they discontinued the Escort in favor of something. Was it the Focus?
It would make sense. It's kind of the same sort of class of vehicle.
Yeah, I think so.
Um,
Words.
yeah, words. We're saying them. Um, Jubilee in the chat says, "How can we monetize Val's many skills with a Z?"
Yeah, there should be a that probably does exist, like a car concierge buying service kind of
Yeah,
thing.
well, I think that CarMax tends to have a pretty good um, has a pretty good car buying experience from what I understand. It's sort of like the just off the rack kind of thing. You go and you buy clothes off the rack and no one's like, it's like you should try this
Oh,
and
okay.
can I upsell you on the and I think it's mostly newer used cars that they sell there.
It seems like it. Yeah.
Um,
I have not been to a CarMax. I'd be. Now I'm curious. I kind of want to go. We have one not that far from here. But not that I need a car right now anyway. Or maybe I do.
you're probably when was the last time you bought a new car? It seems like you're probably
A brand new car
or just
was
a car that's new to you. It's you go through them often enough. Like
so February we bought a 2013 Ford Fiesta
oh, that's right.
and sold it just within the last month or so. Um, and just because we didn't really need it. Um, I ride motorcycles. I think I've told you that before.
Mhm.
Maybe not. So that can be kind of a second vehicle for us, if I need to go somewhere. But that's limited. Sometimes I need to go somewhere in a suit, and that motorcycle is not a great option for that. Anyway, before that is the we have a Kia Sorento. Right? Sorento? Yeah. I always get mixed up with their model names, but it's the SUV.
The Sorrento, the Cilantro, the Serenity,
I think they have a Sedona.
Sedona, Sierra,
Yeah, something like that.
Montego, Bahama, Aruba.
What a way to go. Yeah. That was that car we still have, and we actually did our first lease. We've never done a lease before, and so you probably have never done a lease.
A lease? No, but I hear good things about the lease. I have a friend who is in some kind of finance money-ish thing, and so his new car for his trade,
I like his qualifications.
yeah, he has to wine and dine clients and like drive them around and stuff. So um, he leases cars. So he basically always has a new car every couple of years.
It feels like a long-term rental, basically.
Yeah.
This is our first lease, and we're coming to the end of it this coming January. So I will probably have a more rounded viewpoint of leases once I complete the lease, because
Mm-hmm.
that's where all the business happens at the end.
Oh, at the end.
Yeah.
What
So
is that? Yeah.
apparently they look over the car and say, yes, it is the same value as what we projected it would be, or it's not. Based on your usage and ownership of the car. If you bring it back with dents and rips in the seats and things like that, then you're probably going to owe some money, I guess. But we've been taking pretty good care of it. So high hopes there. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's kind of, there's definite advantages, but there are disadvantages. You can't just get out of a lease very easily. You choose your time period and you say, I will keep this car for this long. And if you don't do that, then there are consequences, monetary consequences.
That sounds terrifying, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, if your life changes within that period and you need to go a different direction, that can be difficult. There are ways to get out of it, but it's not as simple as owning the car and then just selling it.
There are ways. Does it involve like a dark alley and a guy in like a trench coat and like an exchange of money?
That is a way.
I was right. See.
Oh, Jonathan Foster reminded me of the long lost, or less popular Kia model, John Stamos,
The Kia John Stamos.
and the Ford Footlong. That actually kind of rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, it actually kind of fits with my analogy of the makeup of a car being like a sandwich.
Oh. Nice one, Jonathan. Nice one. Touche.
Touche. Oh, the Kia Touche. Obviously.
Is there a Touche? Is there a car named? I feel like there should be.
There should be.
And there should also be one called a Cliche.
A cliche. It's like a 4-door, but it's like a 4-door Touche.
Yeah.
Because the 2-door is the Touche.
Well, the Cliche, you just really wouldn't ever notice it because it's just, blends in.
It's there all the time. There's just so many of them on the road these days.
Car manufacturers should ask us about naming cars. Like, I think we'd come up with some really good ones.
Yeah.
We're on a roll right now.
Yeah. It should be 2 syllables and end in an E.
Yeah.
Or an O. Or any vowel, I think, will do.
Yeah. We had a Hyundai Santa Fe.
See? Ends with an E.
Yeah.
Which is a vowel, in case you missed it. In case you didn't know.
Yeah. I think does it have an accent symbol?
Santa Fe.
I don't know. I know Cliche does. But because it's not really English. Anyway, this is not a words podcast. It's a transportation podcast.
The Hyundai Santa Fe, it doesn't look like it has a so Kevin Muncie in the chat says, check out Care by Volvo. Cars are now like phones, 1 monthly payment for car maintenance, insurance, and you can upgrade in 12 months to a newer car.
Yeah. Yeah. BMW has a similar program. Porsche has a program. A lot of the luxury brands are going with this subscription model.
What's the car equivalent to your call dropping, though? Is it like the wheels fall off?
Yeah.
Seems dangerous.
Yeah, that's. I think that should be where the similarity ends.
Mm-hmm. But I guess you as the human are like the SIM card? I don't know. Because the SIM card is the only thing, unless you have a removable battery.
You're really going all in on these analogs.
You know me.
Yeah, and there's also a couple services out there that are doing this subscription model that are not factory based, like not the manufacturer. Which is interesting. I kind of wonder if that is the future of car ownership, because as society has progressed, people have gotten, we were just talking about this yesterday, more and more impatient. They want the newest thing faster. They don't have to deal with things that slow them down in any particular way. Like, they want nothing to do with that. So as society gets more and more impatient, these kinds of services tend to, I think, appeal to a larger group of people. They don't have to worry about cars. If they don't want it anymore, they just get say I want a different one. I can't remember what the service was. I think I sent you a link to it. For the car subscription thing. Real time follow up here.
Real time follow up. It takes a while though.
Yeah. Um, yeah, apparently Cadillac has its own thing, and uh, Jaguar, Mercedes Benz, Porsche. Um, let's see, Fair. That's what it was. Fair, Fair. Um,
Hmm.
it's interesting thing. They're all used cars, which is interesting. Um, but you basically you pay a monthly fee for a particular car, and then if you don't want it anymore, you just need to give them like 5 days notice, and they will replace it with
That's
whatever you
awesome.
want.
Huh.
Um,
Whatever's available
yeah,
from their
and you
stock.
can add like insurance and whatever to the plan. Um, and I don't. There's got to be some fine print that makes it less attractive, like mileage restrictions and things like that. But um, I haven't really looked into it as much. But it's kind of like that, like that cell phone plan. You just like, here, I want to pay $1 amount, give me a car, and when it's out of date, I want another one. And it's like a lease, but not. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
it's kind of interesting.
And other things like if you're in an urban area, you have like Zipcar, like sort of like services where you basically share your car with the entire city.
Right, but you're in those cases you are taking from a pool of cars, right?
True. This is dedicated to you.
This one is still, your
Yeah.
car,
Yeah.
um, which is kind of a new concept. It seems like for
Hmm.
these kinds of things. Now, I think that the manufacturer or factory based subscription plans are probably not as flexible. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's possible that they could be, but um, yeah, I doubt that it's going to be as easy for you to just flip a car, say, but that's probably, there's probably ones that allow you to do that. And I think I've heard, thought it was Porsche that was doing that. But it's just like some ungodly amount of money to
Right.
to have that privilege and be like,
Mhm.
I want to drive a Cayenne today, and I want to drive a Carrera.
It's
Yeah,
like you work at a dealership.
yeah, basically.
You have a
Yeah,
different car every day.
yeah. But so I don't know. We'll see what the future holds for buying and
See.
owning cars and stuff.
We'll see. We're gonna get
Interesting to
there.
see how it goes.
We'll soon be in the future, and we'll know.
When is that?
I think Monday.
Oh, okay.
Better be prepared for it because
Can
it's
can
gonna
we
be
do it
crazy.
Tuesday, because I don't like Mondays.
You don't. You are like Garfield in that way. Like whenever I text you on a Monday or send you a message on a Monday, your responses are always like half as long.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do you have a graph for this?
I should start, I should start keeping track.
Let's do some infographics.
It's like, "Hey Jeff, what's up?" And you'll be like, "Fine," or like, "Hey." But on like a Tuesday, be like, "Hey, what's up?" Back.
And then Fridays, it's like, hey, blah, 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 blah.
I
You can't get
don't
me to
know.
shut up. And
Well, I
it's
feel like we might have we run out of gas in the transportation episode?
either that or we punctured our tires.
Maybe maybe this episode's suffering from some oil consumption issues. A lot of black smoke coming out the other
I
end.
love how vague that is. Oil consumption issue
Yeah.
for your car. Like, that could be a lot of
It
things.
could.
And that is like enough vagueness to hide what is actually going on and make you concerned.
Mhm.
Like, oh, that sounds solvable, I think.
I don't know. I don't know.
That may be serious. That may not be serious.
You would know better than me.
Uh, well, I from that term, I would not know better. Yeah.
True. It's been fun though.
Yeah. So, I guess we should say that maybe we could put this transportation thing to bed. I don't think we're gonna go
Yeah.
on forever talking on our podcast about transportation.
I had high hopes though that this would be the thing. This would be the one that we land on.
Yeah.
I
I
guess
don't know.
we're still figuring it out.
Yeah. I feel like we need to see other topics.
I did take a break from transportation just to see other topics.
see if it's the one.
Yeah, maybe we'll come back to it if the other ones don't work out. This is the right one all along. Oh boy. Well, I guess what are we going to talk about next time?
I don't know. I kind of want to take a left turn and go a different direction.
Recalculating.
We may end up doing a U-turn, but
we'll see. I guess it's going to be a surprise.
Yeah. There's been a few other topics, but I should throw out there, if anybody that is listening to this or even watching this wants us to talk about anything in particular, and ramble on endlessly about a particular thing, send us an email or tweet either of us. You can reach Paul at P Breedenberg on Twitter and myself at Geoff Tripoli on Twitter, all together.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, in addition, email us at paulandjeff.com. And that is Paul with a P and Geoff with a G.
Geoff with a G.
As opposed to Paul with an X.
Yeah, it's a mistake anyone can make, really. So yeah. I've come to forgive that particular error.
Those Pauls with X's are ruining it for everyone else.
Yeah. All right. I guess should we do our sign off?
I think we should. And thank you for all those that have joined us this week. And if you know of anyone that would like to sponsor this podcast, please send them our way. We are looking for sponsors.
Yeah. Looking at you, Kia.
Yeah. And we will happily provide you new model names to consider. So just as we'll throw that in there.
That's right.
All right. Shall we sign off?
Yeah, let's sign off.
Okay. I'm Geoff.
And I'm Paul.
And we have said words.
Yes.
I think we got it. Pretty close.
Yeah, that was pretty close.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye-bye.